It's coming. It's coming. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Uh, I hope you all are having a wonderful day. This is Kim Ingram with Caldwell Banker. I'm with you today for my weekly lender update. Each week, I'll bring a different lender because all lenders are not created equal to talk about some of the challenges and some of the things that they're seeing as buyers are trying to get pre-qualified for to purchase a home. So this week, I have the pleasure of I have the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Don Meadows from Wintrust. And Don has been in the business for far too many years for me to say. You guys might think he's old if I tell you for real. Um, and he's
Mr.
going to
Beard.
talk today. We're going to discuss challenges that buyers are having or some misconceptions out in the community about purchasing a home. Excuse me. Don,
Good
welcome.
morning, Kim. Yeah, I don't want to tell my age because I've known Kim for quite some time, and we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, about 5 or 10 years. so
Okay.
this morning, Don, I want to talk to you about some of the challenges that you are seeing with buyers who are trying to purchase a home. I know one of the things that I've seen was credit, and I talked about credit last week on my lender update. And this week, I want to talk about what they can expect because a lot of people think that because they're getting down payment assistance, that they don't need any money at all, which is a big misconception. So, could you kind
Yeah,
of touch on that a bit for me?
sure. So, good morning, everyone. The most common misconception that we have with homeowners or potential homeowners and buyers is they don't understand the concept of buying a home and getting a grant and or being a first-time home buyer does not mean you can buy a house with no money. That doesn't exist. Just the basic premise of buying a house, you have to be able to do earnest money, a home inspection, and an appraisal. These are out-of-pocket costs, and on average, they're about $2,000, just to give a generic number, but that's about average. If you don't, at minimum, have that, you're not ready to buy a house. And I say that with the best of intentions. And it's not no, it's just not today. I mean, we have a multitude of first-time homebuyer programs. The IDA program is the most common because it doesn't run out of money, and that's the Illinois Housing Development Authority. They give between $6,000, that's forgivable, $7,500, which is deferred, which means you got 30 years to pay it back, or they have a $10,000 loan that you pay back at $83.33 a month for 10 years at 0% interest. But to get that loan, you have to contribute 1% of the loan amount. If you don't have that, you can't do the loan. So $200,000 house, you need $2,000, which would be your earnest money, your home inspection, and your appraisal. That would equal just about $2,000. If you don't have that, we go back to that offsets it. Because folks say, well, I'm a first-time home buyer. What programs do you have? Well, the fact that you're only putting down the minimum down payment is a first-time home buyer program in itself to eliminate the misconception. Getting down payment assistance, in most cases, you need a credit score equal to or greater than 640, depending on how much you need, what the program is, and the guidelines. And you have to be within a certain income bracket. Usually it's 80% of the average income for the area. For Cook County, since we're in Cook County, it is $87,560. If you make that or less, you're at 80% of the median income. And a lot of different programs fall into that guideline. For IDA, you can make up to $132,000 and qualify for IDA. And they're only looking at the person who is purchasing the home, not the entire household. But you also have the Federal Home Loan Bank that's giving out $10,000, but they're looking at the household, not the individual. So if a married couple and it's two people and it's only two people, they can't make more than $71,000. But if it's a person and their child not having income, they're counting the child as a household member, and $71,000 is also the cap. So it all depends on the different variances of what the down payment looks like. But I understand people are paying rent equal to or greater than what they would be paying in a mortgage. And so it's that season. It's time to purchase because you're dumping hundreds of thousands of dollars into renting with no benefit to it. But you have to be able to have the minimum required.
Okay, Don. So I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, I have a question. So I'm a buyer. I qualify for two grants that are able to be used together. So there's some city
Okay.
grants that can be used with IDA or whatever. They can be lumped together.
Right.
So even though I'm getting those two grants, I still need money up front. Correct?
Correct. That's correct. So if you were to get the federal home loan grant and the IDA grant, those two combined are both forgivable. One's $10,000, one's $6,000. That is $16,000. That is going to cover your down payment and more than likely all your closing costs, up to almost $300,000 on a purchase. You still have to contribute 1% of the loan amount. So you have to have a $3,000 contribution. If you don't have $3,000, yeah, you can't buy the house, even though the grant is covering everything. The old expression we used to use is you have to have some skin in the game. Right. And if you can't show it, you can't get it. And you cannot borrow the money. You can get a gift from family, but it cannot be a loan. And I'm going to stress this. It must be a familiar status. It can be your cousin 28 times removed. It's your cousin. We're not going to ask you how much of the lineage it is. It's your cousin. It's your uncle, your sister, your brother, your mother, your father, but it's family. I realize some of you have really good friends that are willing to give you money. That's a loan as far as a lender is concerned. So I say this, we run into this. We've qualified multitudes of people that meet the criteria for credit. They have the credit score to buy a house. They do not have any money to buy a house, which is unfortunate.
I understand you mentioned that credit score needed to be a 640. But I do know that there are loans out here where you can get some as low as a 580. With a 580 credit score, do I qualify for any down payment assistance?
The only down payment assistance you can get right now with a 580 credit score would be the Federal Home Loan Bank. They do not have a credit score requirement. They just have a household income requirement. You could buy anywhere in the state of Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota. It doesn't matter because the federal government is providing this grant to banks in the community. And for that, they'll give you $10,000 that's forgivable in a 5-year period. But remember, they're looking at the entire household's income. It's got to make sense. Okay.
And does Wintrust have those funds available?
Yes, we do. We have the Federal Home Loan Grant funds available. They're first come, first serve. We got to say that first. They give us an allotment of money. It normally lasts us to August to September. And we're in January. It just started on January 16th. Okay. It's newly released.
All right. So you, okay. So it has been released already.
It has been released January 16th. And in the upcoming month and a half, the MMRP will be back, which is a micro recovery program through the city of Chicago, which is an additional $15,000.
And what do you need to qualify for the MMRP?
The exact same as the Federal Home Loan Bank. They are counting household income. They're using the same chart, the same guidelines. So if you qualify for the Federal Home Loan Bank, you will qualify for the MMRP. The difference being if we could actually layer the IDA with the Federal Home Loan Bank with the MMRP, Micro Market Recovery Program. And that would be a total of $31,000 in down payment assistance. But guess what? Still got to
Wow.
have 1%. So you're going to miss all of it if you haven't saved any money. And
Wow.
Federal Home Loan Bank and IDA program will allow you to buy a
That's
condo. No, go ahead.
no. I just said that's a nice amount of money for someone who's trying to purchase a home.
Yes, it
Um,
is.
to layer it with IDA though, they have to have the 640 credit score, correct?
With IDA, they got to have a 640. The other two, they do not. But
Okay.
the
Okay.
IDA and the Federal Home Loan Bank will allow you to buy a condo, a single family, or a 2-unit purchase. And for IDA, you don't have to be a first time home buyer. For the Micro Market Recovery Program through the city of Chicago, you do. And for the Federal Home Loan Bank, you do, which means you cannot have owned a home in the past 3 years. Doesn't mean you have not owned a home. It's just in the past 3 years. That's what they consider a first time home buyer.
Okay.
So, but with the
All right. So I got one
micro
question for
market
you,
recovery,
and we
good.
have a little delay, I think, going on.
I think it's like a 2 second
So my
delay.
question for you is, right, what sets you apart from other lenders?
I read guidelines. I read the guidelines. You would be surprised
You read
that
guidelines.
I read guidelines. I am a nerd by nature. I read the guidelines. I confer with my underwriting partners at the bank because sometimes there is a difference of opinion, and a guideline is not an opinion. It's a statement of fact. I've been doing this a long time, and I help other loan officers close their loans. And I don't always tell them the secret. And sometimes they have the right loan, they just didn't approach it correctly. Um, it's about understanding your craft. I've been doing this, it's been over 30 years now. So the programs and things change minutely. They basically stay the same in reference to when a guideline changes and updates something, you have to be abreast of what happens in your craft. So I studied my craft, and it's old school. I print it out on a piece of paper. I have it in a book. I have a reference point for it, and I study it. I make sure that I understand what I'm saying. And if I can't close your loan on the guidelines, on the standard, what I know, it's not going to close. And I can stand on that. If it's a Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, VA, or FHA, not any
Okay.
exotic program. If it's one of those 4 loan programs, if I can't close it, it's because my bank won't allow me to because of some overlay they have in place, but not because we don't know how to do the loan.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate your candor and your information. I think you gave a lot of information today as far as what people can expect when they're looking for a loan. Um, Don, as he mentioned, has been in the business for over 30 years. His contact information is on the screen if you want to reach out to him. He is one of my preferred lenders. I have worked with him for years, and he would be a great lender for you. He's very knowledgeable. That's one thing. I like people that have a lot of knowledge. They know what they're doing. Um, so again, his number is on the screen. You can reach out to him anytime. Also, I have my number as well. So if you're looking for a realtor or you have some additional questions, you can always reach out to me. Any final words, Don Meadows?
Not a thing. I just say if you're gonna buy a house, do this, do the basics, do a budget, look how you spend your money, stop eating out as much, don't loan any money, don't borrow any money, don't run your credit up, and you don't need a store credit card for any reason in this universe. You don't need a store's credit card. MasterCard, Visa, American Express. Everything else is a waste of your time. That's all I got.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for joining me
All right.
today. And thank you guys for watching. And I will see you next week with next week's lender
Thank you for
update.
having me,
Talk to
Kim.
you soon. All
All
right.
right.
No problem.